Guys, in this video we're going to discuss how to become a copywriter with quick and easy blog posts. Hi guys, Les Blythe here from Freelance Your Future FYF 101, and in this video we're going to look at how you can put together blog posts, writing blog posts for money for clients, and I'm going to show you a very easy way of putting blog posts together that you can replicate each time you write a blog post. So this makes it very easy to produce nice blog posts that you can charge good money to paying clients for. So guys, this is the latest in my series of videos, How to Become a Copywriter, where I fast track you through some of the most important things I've learned about writing and copywriting online for money since I started in 2011. So this is going to help you. As I say, I'm going to fast track you. I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to get you through the essentials and get you up and running as quickly as possible. Now guys, you want to watch the end of this video because I've also put together some free bonuses for you, all designed to help you on your way as a well-paid writer. So watch the end and I'll tell you about the bonuses when we get there. Okay, that's it for the intro guys. Let's dive in and let's look at how you can produce blog posts quickly and easily. Okay guys, let's look at how you can put a blog post together quickly and easily. I'm going to give you a system you can use that you can produce blog posts of any length without hassle and replicate the system easily for, as I say, any length of blog post you need to produce. So let's dive in. So the best way to approach this, as I say, is to have a formula or structure where you can replicate the formula, and that's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you starting from scratch every time you produce a blog post, and it's a formula that I've used for some time now. I've used it for paying clients. I use it all the time, and I'm going to share it with you now. So let's dive straight in. Here's my formula. So the first thing you're going to write is your killer main headline. And we've discussed headlines previously. This is critical that you get this right. You need a headline that is going to capture the visitor's attention immediately. The job of the headline is to convince him to read further. So definitely spend time on your headline, make it killer, make sure it's going to pull the visitor in and want them to read further through the article or blog post. Now, if you want to find out about writing killer headlines, it's something that we've talked about in a previous video. So just check out the previous video in the series, and you'll find plenty of advice on how to produce a killer headline. And you'll also find the tool that I recommend to make sure that your headlines are on point every time. And that's a free tool. There's no charge for that. As I say, that video appears previously in the series. So number one starting point is get your killer main headline on point, pull the visitor in, capture their attention, and convince them to read further. Absolutely critical you get this right. So once you've got your killer main headline in place, you follow this with 150 words, approximately 150 words of text. And again, because this is right at the start of the blog post, it's critically important that you hook the website visitor here. You've got to convince them to read further. So again, this first 150 words, apart from your initial headline, is one of the most crucial parts of writing the blog post. So think about this 150 words. It's approximately 150 words. It doesn't have to be exactly 150, but in the region of 150 words. And make sure that that text is really intriguing and will pull the reader into reading the remaining parts of the blog post. Spend time on this, think about it, think about the blog posts you've read, think about the kind of things that have convinced you to read a blog post. What would you like to see at the start of a blog post that's going to pull you in and make you read the whole thing? Okay, so having got your killer headline in place and your first 150 words of text that's going to pull the reader into reading the blog post further, you then come to your first subheading. So you've already done your heading, you come to the subheading, and I suggest you follow the subheading with about 300 words of text. So the subheading itself must be descriptive and intriguing. All of this is aimed at keeping the reader hooked into the text you're writing and hooked into the blog post itself. Now it's important that the text here relates to the subheading, so the 300 words or so of text that you write must be relative to the subheading, and of course it must be relevant to the subject of the blog post as a whole. Now there's a mistake I see being made very often with blog posts where the writer of the blog post tends to wander off the subject. So while you're writing this stuff, be asking yourself all the time, is what you're writing relevant to the subheading in this section, and is the subheading and the text you're writing relative to the headline of the blog post and relative to the subject matter of the blog post as a whole. So make a conscious effort to keep everything on point, very relative to what you're writing about, and try not to wander off the subject. Okay, so having got all of that in place, you then come to your second subheading, which, similar to the first subheading, is descriptive, intriguing, keep the reader hooked in, as we said. And again, follow your second subheading with about 300 words of text. As we said before, keep the text relevant, keep everything relevant to the subject of the blog post. Keep this section of text relative to the subheading, and keep the whole thing relative to the subject matter of the blog post as a whole. And the final part of the formula is the conclusion or summary. And this, just like the introduction, this you want to keep to about 150 words in total. And within the conclusion or summary, you would include any call to action, any CTA that's required. So at this point, as you're summing up, you would tell the reader what you want them to do next, if that's relevant to the blog post that you're writing. And always remember just to put in one call to action. Don't give readers the option of doing several different things. All that tends to do is to confuse the reader and lead to inaction. If you present them with too many choices, they're not going to take the action that you want. So always when you put a CTA, and I mean this refers to any piece of writing really, when you put a CTA, just have one CTA, one specific thing that you want the reader to do. Don't confuse them with too many options at this point. Now here's a pro tip. I'm sure you've read plenty of blog posts where right at the end the writer calls the conclusion or summary just that, conclusion or summary, and that's such a wasted opportunity, and it's actually a mistake to avoid. It's a mistake that many writers make. Use this to again give a descriptive heading. So for conclusion or summary, it could be summing it all up or anything of that nature. Just don't just call it conclusion summary. Anything at the end that is a little bit more intriguing, like this is what it's all about, what does all this mean, something like that. Just don't call it conclusion or summary. It's very boring and very lazy, and I see a lot of writers doing that. So again, use that space wisely and use it to give a conclusion or summary heading that makes sense and is a little bit more interesting than just using the word conclusion or summary. So that's basically it, guys. That's the structure. Let's just now sum the structure up briefly so you can see how this whole thing hangs together. So we started, as we said, with a kind of riveting headline right at the start. You've got to pull the reader in, or the website visitor in, with something that's really going to grab their attention. Now follow that main headline with approximately 150 words of text, again making sure to hook them in. Then we came to the first subhead, and follow that with about 300 words of text. Then a second subhead, and follow that with about 300 words of text. Then we come to the conclusion and summary, which, if you remember, we're going to call it something other than conclusion and summary, and follow that with about, again, 150 words of text. So if we do the sums in, we add that up, we've got 150, 2 300s and 150, so that whole lot comes to 900 words. So that would be a good, average length for a blog post. It's a good length of blog post at 900 words. And sometimes blog posts can be shorter. They can be 600 words or they can be 800 words. But that's a good kind of average. So left to your own devices, if a client wants a blog post of a reasonable size, 900 words is kind of the way to go. And you can put it together quite simply and easily just by following this formula, because it breaks it down into manageable chunks. So there you would be writing, 4 sections: your headline, subhead, conclusion, and adding all that, it comes to 900 words. Now, what if you want to write a blog post that's longer? For example, personally, I've written blog posts as long as 3,000 and 4,000 words, which is pretty long. I must be honest. It's not usual to write blog posts that long, but it does happen. So what if you need to write a blog post that's longer? Well, let me tell you what to do about that. So here's the beauty of using my formula. If you need to make a blog post that's longer, say 1,200 words, for example, we've already done 900 words. We say you had to go 1,200 or 1,500 words. Simply add another subhead with 300 words at a time. So you can see by using the formula, it's broken down into blocks that you can easily add to and build out a blog post, literally of any length you need to. Now obviously the sections might not be exactly 300 words every time. You might get one of 250, you might get one of 350. But as a general rule of thumb, using my tried and tested blog post formula, you'll be able to build out blog posts of any kind of length that the client requires. There you go, guys. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, and why not hit the bell notifications so when I've got more free advice and tips on copywriting, I know where to send them to. I really appreciate you supporting me, because the more you support me, it helps me to continue to make free videos like this to help you guys. So consider leaving a comment and share around if you think this will help someone else on their way with copywriting. All right, that's about it. Just to say that I promise you a couple of bonuses. If you look below this video or in the comments, you'll find a link that will take you to your bonuses. Help yourself, totally free of charge, no charge for these bonuses, guys, and I hope it helps you on your way. Okay, that's it for this video in the series, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. All the best for now. Ciao.